Ladies and gentlemen of Luca Nation, what's going on? Happy Friday. I hope you guys had an amazing week. Yesterday's Rips episode, if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to it, please go back and do so because, we've had Rips on 3 times and he never ceases to amaze me. This is a kid, he's 17 years old. He has a 6-7 figure collection. He's in DECA. He's a future business leader of America, and I think he's someone that has a really, really, really bright future ahead of him. But for you guys, I think there's a ton of value. You know, he dropped bombs. There was so much insight and wisdom in yesterday's episode. And by the way, if you look at it like a Star Wars trilogy, go back and listen to the previous episodes if you haven't had a chance, because there's a ton there.
No,
we'll start off today, Kate.
That episode was not like Return of the Jedi, though. That was not like that. It's a trilogy, like a Star Wars thing. Like normally that third one has sort of been a letdown. This episode was not a letdown. There were no Ewoks in this one. There were Zion's pants, but no Ewoks. It was a good episode. And
are you going to hate me that I've never watched any of the Star Wars?
Oh man, none of the 9 movies at all. I'm not even gonna count like Rogue One, Solo, none of those things. You've never seen any of them? Not a single one. Why?
Nothing about. Natalie Portman's kind of cute. I'll be honest, but other than that, nothing enticed me about it.
That's where we go. And you're in the right age group when the episode 1, the Phantom Menace and that stuff. Like that should have been right in your wheelhouse. No, huh?
I was watching Boy Meets World.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess. Right? Is that Topanga?
I love Topanga. Yes.
Yeah. You're a Topanga guy. All right.
That was shot in Philly too. So that, and I was raised on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, little known secret. The Ewok scenes in Return of the Jedi on the moons of Endor, that was also shot in Philly, right around your neighborhood. That's what it is. No, dude, go ahead. I interrupted you, but listen, if you haven't listened to that Rips episode, go for it because it's without fail. There's great stuff in there, and we talk about everything with the kid, and he's been right every time we had him on. He's always pivoting the collection, kind of ahead of the curve. So there's some real value in there.
I want to talk about pop reports today because I think people interpret them only half correct. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Today, someone asked me. They sent me a text. They said, "What do you think of this Devin Booker green prism?" The PSA 10 of the Devin Booker, the PSA 10 base prism, Devin Booker has a pop 1,000, but the Devin Booker green only has a pop 18. Don't you think this is a great deal if they end at the similar price? And I said no, because though there is way less supply, there's significantly less demand for the green. At the same time, that doesn't always apply, especially for the early day prism of like Giannis, for example. The Giannis green is still a really, really valuable card. So I'm curious your take. So I have a few different examples of pop report, but let's start with this one. The greens. What do you think? How do you interpret that pop report?
Don't like the greens. Yeah, man, listen, pop report is one portion of supply and demand, right? And you can't read it, just all at once. Things change. We've had this conversation with the prism parallels a lot, right? And what are you? I call you a purple wave because you're rare.
I didn't
it's
like
one of those rare parallels. But people don't realize it should be demanded. Like it's a diamond in the rough kind of parallel. The green one, everybody knows the green. It's a retail specific parallel, and there's just not a lot of people who go for the green. I've in some cases seen green sell for less than base, definitely less than a lot of the other parallels. Red, white, and blue.
That's exactly what I said too.
Red, white, and blue is another example. But and let's throw this one out there. Hyper was one that people kind of ignored. Also, it was thought of as kind of like a lesser parallel as well. Just kind of like hanging out there, as an odd parallel. And if you notice recently, people are paying more attention to the pop report on the hypers. I've seen some hypers of like Luca, for example, sell for more than the silver. And maybe that's more of a condition sensitive thing because, the hypers have like print lines in them and they're hard grades. But, there's something to be said about that. That doesn't mean you should buy the greens because I think all of a sudden demand's going to come out of somewhere for them. But yeah, you got to remember, population, that supply is only one half of the equation.
So what I'm hearing there is, for example, with the Tyler Hero green, his green actually sold for $6, the prism, where the base still sells right around 20. So that's a really good example where the green raw and a green PSA 10 of the Tyler Hero Prism card sells for less than the base. The Hyper, I think the reason we see that appreciate, because that wasn't a very well-respected parallel at all. I think people have realized that most Hypers come with a print line and that they actually are a really difficult grade, where the green is just the same exact card as the Prism, same exact toughness to grade, but people don't respect it. Is that the right interpretation?
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, little footnote, if you're a Celtics fan, ignore everything we just said, because now the green becomes your team color match. So, I might actually pay a little more for a Tatum, rookie in green, or, I mean, they haven't really had such great rookies recently, but, if you're a Celtics collector and you want to grab a green because it's a color match, that's a different story. But yeah, other than that, maybe Bucks, maybe that the Giannis green, because it's sort of like, team colors. Maybe that's part of the reason the green, but like barring that, I'd stay clear of green just because, people don't love them.
Okay. Now stay with me. I'm going to rattle off a few numbers here. And if you could stay with me, I think this is going to be a valuable exercise. So I was looking at two Kobe rookie cards. Okay. One is the Kobe UD3, which is, there's two of them, but I'm talking about the one where he's dunking. Okay. I don't know if you've seen that card. We could insert it here. I'll do actually a screen share if in a second when I find it. But anyway, we have the Kobe UD3. And then we have the Kobe Ultra, the Fleer Ultra 52 card that I've given. There's 284 PSA 9s graded of the UD3. And there's 108 PSA 10s of the UD3 card number 43. I'll pull it up here on the screen share in just a second. Out of a total of 709 graded. The Ultra, and I know this is detailed, but I wanted to go this way because I think there's a lot of value here. The Ultra has 4,700 total cards graded, 1,938, 1,938, almost 2,000 graded PSA 9s, a little bit right around 40%, and 303 10s. So far, are you with me, Cage? Cool. And I apologize to go deep.
I'm sleeping. I'm sorry. I fell asleep. No, so just for roundabout. So now on the UD3 versus the Ultra, which one has more 10s? Which one has less 10s?
The Ultra has 3x the amount of 10s as the UD3.
Okay, so the UD3 has 1/3 the amount of 10s. Good. Nice summary. Go.
And I'm going to do a screen share so you guys see the UD3. And I know we don't always do these types of episodes, but I found value. This card right here. And yes, everything on mine is in Mexican pesos. It's frustrating. I have not been able to change it.
By the way, he's learning. He's learning to make fun of it before I even have a chance to.
This card right here, okay? That's the cool UD3 I'm talking about. That's a cool card. By the way, hint, 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 if you're listening now, that's my play for today, the PSA 9. But I want to make sure that it's on theme. So stop sharing, come back. The Fleer, okay, the Fleer Ultra, PSA 9 sells for $450. The PSA 10 sells for $3,500. The UD3, the card you guys just saw, the 9 sells for $300. You actually just saw it $306. Mm-hmm. The 10 sells for $1,800.
So a third of the pop and significantly less money.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's where I do use the pop. So sometimes people look at just the pop in like a bubble. I use the population on PSA's website to compare and contrast as much apples to apples as it can. Obviously, different brands, different respect, all that stuff. But these are two rookies. These aren't Kobe's #1 rookie card. But to me, when I was doing that research and looking for a Kobe play, to me, the PSA 9 seemed significantly underpriced for the UD3 as well as the PSA 10. Do you have that interpretation as well? Yeah.
I mean, especially you're not bringing like a scoreboard play or a score or some unknown thing. It's upper deck. You know what I mean? Kobe's got a lot of upper deck cards. That's a cool looking card. Part of me when I do a comparison like this of pops, I look at the Fleer Ultra. Everybody likes Fleer Ultra. It's a cool looking card, but it's not like one card is so far and away a better action pose or anything like that. Which would explain the triple the price. And normally the reason given for Fleer Ultra in those 9s and 10 pricing, being so expensive is because it's condition sensitive. So the pop's going to be low, but it sounds like the upper deck has the same thing going for it, even maybe more so because the pop is light on those as well. So you're covering all of your bases. You didn't bring a card that has a low pop because nobody thought to grade it because nobody cares about the card. I mean, it's an upper deck. It's a legit card. So
It is, and I really like the card as well. I like the look. I like that he's dunking. That's my play today. I think the PSA 9 is actually an interesting play at just $300. I think it evens out with the Fleer. I think it should be closer to a $500 card, especially. Here's also another thing that's going to happen. There's a lot of raw cards available of this upper deck. But I remember when this kind of happened last year, because last year I was buying the Ultras. I think I bought 100 Ultra 52 Kobe's in the raw condition, and I got one PSA 10.
Wow.
Now let's fast forward a year from now, which is where we are now, when PSA opens the doors. Are people even going to be subbing that card, knowing that they could get a 7 or an 8? That's a tough card to sub because you basically need a 9 or a 10 to make your money back. So it's an interesting play. I'm actually going to say make your decision. If you want to buy a ton of these raw, they're like $40-$50. Not a horrible play. I think in a raw condition, they might sell for $100 in a little bit. I really believe that. If you could get the 10 is awesome. I mean, we all love 10s, especially when there's only 100 rookies, 100 PSA 10s. But my play today is kind of right in the middle. It's the PSA 9, which you could get for $300. I love the pose. It's shiny. It's like a shiny card, which didn't happen a lot in the 90s. Yeah, that's my play. Kobe rookie, upper deck 3, PSA 9, and it's the card number 43.
Nice.
Aerial artists.
I like the population talk. I like the pop count talk. So I had a couple different ways to potentially take the episode. I'm going to stick with basketball. I'm going to stick with one that we can have a continued conversation about that pop report, because it is supply and demand, guys. Never forget about that. And layer on what your own personal tastes are, right? So my play today is also going to be in the NBA. And it's funny, I'm always doing research, right? Everybody is posting now, and I've talked about it as well. Carmelo, breaking into the top 10. I think I was one of the first people who mentioned that, coming into the season, guys wait, he's going to move up the scoring ranks. And by the end of the year, as long as he averages at least 13 points a game, he's got a shot at 10. Little caveat on this, what no one's talking about still is he actually has a shot at 9. I think he has 6 games left and needs 75 points to pass Moses Malone for 9th. Which is interesting because you don't want to get in 10th and then just fall right back out of 10th, because Kevin Durant, as great as he is, he's still not in the top 25, but he's sniffing around 25. And once you get into the top 25, from like 15 to 25, it's one season of good ball. But, eventually I expect Kevin Durant to probably pass. So it would be nice if Melo is in 9th instead of 10th. If he plays next year, he might even pass Shaq for 8th. But why am I giving you all this over again? It's not a Melo play. I'm not giving you a Melo play. But while I'm looking at that, I found something that I thought was very interesting, right? So, pause. We give you guys value. Andrew just gave you value in one way. It was an analysis of Kobe Bryant's rookie cards. One versus the other, population report, which one makes sense to buy, which one's a good value, which one is probably a little underappreciated, layered on some pop, later on some supply and demand, with an education on, just because it's low pop doesn't necessarily mean that it's the better value, because there still has to be some demand for it there. A lot of good info there. That's one way you give value. You can go buy that card now, and it's probably going to go up, and you're going to make money on it. The other value I think that Andrew and I bring in these episodes is I want you to, get access to our thought process, right? It's not like we are, influencers or industry leaders or anything like that, but, I don't want to hide anything from you guys. I want to let you know where my brain is. And I'll tell you, we're in an interesting spot. This is the fun of being a daily show. I'll be the first person who gets to talk about heritage auctions that ended last night. I didn't hear anybody talk about it at all. It's basically, if you're not in golden auction, then no one's talking about your auctions. It's amazing, there are pre-shows and post-shows for what happens in golden, and everybody's putting their cards in golden. But Heritage is a major auction house and ended last night, and I didn't even know. I kind of stumbled on it, and I'm like, wow. I think they ended the night before, and there's still some ending tonight. And they had a Honus Wagner in their auction too. Nobody was talking about that. It wasn't on CNBC. I saw a Jordan card end at 3 and change with the buyer's premium, like 336, which means the seller of that card only got 280. Only. That's significantly more than it was, but that card is continuing to, to level out, set a new floor, all that other fun stuff. The same can be said for a ton of other cards that were in that auction. The Jerry Rice rookie that I love, the Joe Montana rookie that I love, all lower than where they were. A lot of baseball cards, lower. LeBron.
Where did the Montana and Rice end? Below 70K?
No. I think the Montana was right around 70 and the Rice was like 90 or something like that. Rice was a little more, but I mean, those were ones that in the February Golden auction were, 100 and 125 or something like that. They're definitely lower than they were. They're significantly more than they were, last year, but they, they're continuing like everything else to find a new bottom.
It's cool cards like that. And I think cards that are true rookie of legends, they don't, even when they've dipped, they haven't dipped that much. Like if you look at the Rice and the Montana relative to the market, they've actually, the whole market's come down 50-60%. They've come down what, 20-30%?
Yeah, from their highs, because there's not a ton of them. That's the thing. You know what I mean? There's 6 times as many Jordan rookies in PSA 10 as there are Rice, and 3 times as many Jordan rookies as there are Montanas. There's 300 and change of Jordan. There's 112-ish, I think, of Montana, and like 50 or so of Rice. So it's harder to have those come down because they're just not going to pop up all the time. And these ones that are being bought now, you're going to see them disappear. But so I digress. That Heritage auction last night, it showed me a continuation of a downward trend. And it showed me, we haven't found a floor yet. And when things like that happen, right? This is all just, you should be gobbling all this up. You should be eating as much of this information that's available publicly. More content, more podcasts. When people are talking to in lives and answering questions and giving this data, card ladder, all this fun stuff. It's all great stuff to take in because it should color what you're doing going forward with your collection. And I last night went down in the basement and I started looking at some of the cards that I have down there, and I'm like, okay, maybe I sell this card. And I started thinking, I got a Damian Lillard card, right? The PSA 10 2012 Prism. I love Dame, right? I only have one of them. It's a cool card. It's a rookie card. I love him. Perennial MVP candidate, talk. He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I look at the card and it's like $1,000, right? I said, all right, $1,000. Is that the best use of $1,000 for my collection, right? So, maybe not. Maybe I sell that and move it into something else, something that's a little, a little more goaty, a little more Hall of Fame. So, full circle. I have not bought this yet. I will buy one. I'm letting you know. I just haven't decided which one yet, and I'll let you decide which one you want to buy. But I start looking at that scorer list with Carmelo moving up into the top 10. Full circle. It's like a Seinfeld episode here. Andrew, do you know the top scorers? And Tracy McGrady does not make the top scorer list. I'm talking about all-time scorers, right? So I'm talking about all-time scorers here. So I'll give you, right?
T-Mac had back spasm, brother.
Yes, he did. He was a great scorer in spurts. He was awesome. So Kareem, right? Kareem. I'm talking, these are like the all-time greats of the game, right? The GOATs conversation, right? Karl Malone was number 2, right? After Karl Malone, you know who number 3 is? 3 is my favorite, LeBron. Okay? So Kareem, Malone, LeBron, LeFlock, right? After that comes 2 guys who are also in the GOAT conversation, Kobe and Michael Jordan. So we've just given you the top 5 scorers, I believe, of all time, right? So Kareem, Malone, LeBron, Kobe,
Hakeem,
MJ,
Shaq.
Right?
Hakeem, Shaq.
Hakeem's way down. Shaq is number 9. You know who's next after the guys just named? Forget about Hakeem. Forget about Shaq. Number 6 all time. So not Carmelo.
Pete Maravich? Pistol Pete?
It's amazing, that we do this, right? Because he's so underappreciated. And I looked at this and I'm like,
George Iceman Gervin.
No, love it. I would love it if it was. But think of the names. Right behind Kobe and MJ, right behind 4 and 5, right behind Kobe and MJ, Dirk Nowitzki. 6th all-time scorer, man. Right?
Dude, there needs to be a documentary on Dirk because that's a man who lived his fullest life. He's beloved in Dallas. He lives in Dallas. He's friends with Cuban. And his one championship over those 3-peat.
Huge.
The what are they called? The Beatles? Treatles? Whatever. I can't remember. The Heatles. That's what they call themselves.
The Heatles. Yeah, he beat a super team, right? I mean, it's a legit championship, and he did it himself. No one's asking who was he the best player on the team that year. I mean, there's none of that crap. It's legit. It's only one, but it's a championship. And I say to myself, I'm like, I got this Dame Lillard card. He hasn't won a championship, and the pop on this is, it's pretty significant on this one. And I look at Dirk's 1998 Topps cards, and here's where we get into the pop, some fun, right? Just like the Duncan card in Topps paper. I'm going to give you the pops on the Topps versus Topps Chrome, all right? So this is where you're going to have to make your own decision what your personal preference is, right? But in PSA 10, there are 145 of his Chromes. That's it. 145 PSA 10 Chrome number 154, all right? That's it, 145. The Topps paper, Same number 154, but in paper?
75.
119. All right? Similar. Less paper. 119 versus 145. Less paper, right? But here's where it gets fun. The last sale of the paper, PSA 10, where there's only 119 of these things, $850. $850, right? But the chrome that actually has a higher pop, right? There's 119 paper, 145 chrome. The last one sold for $2,426.
Yeah.
3 times the price of the paper, okay? And both of them are bargains because both of them are down 40%-ish from where they were in like February's highs. I mean, these things were significantly higher, right? So right now they're a bargain. But I would submit to you, and guys, this is where you're going to have to make your own decision, right? The chrome is 3 times as much because I think there's probably 3 times as many people who want the chrome. That's just the way it works. This is a great example of that supply versus demand. The pop report doesn't mean everything. Say you have the exact same card with the exact same image of the exact same player from the exact same year, exact same number, 154. The only different, one shiny, the other one isn't. The shiny one, there's more 10s, but it sells for 3 times as much money. Supply and demand, right? It's more demand for that chrome, which is makes with. I personally will likely buy 3 papers for the price of 1 chrome. That to me seems like the way to go. Okay, because now I have 3 out of 119. I'm sitting there with 3% of the total population. Might not be the way you go. Go ahead.
Well, there's 2 things to that, right? When you buy 3 paper over 1 chrome, one, again, it's not the price that you get in, it's the price you get out, right? So, I mean, percentages. But second, you could sell off 1 of the 3 as well. You have flexibility.
Exactly right. This is why we love you, man. 100% right. 100, you can lever in and level out. It's almost like fractional sharing of your own card, right? So I'm able to, instead of putting 2,500, let's say the card goes up to, to $1,200 from the 850 it's at now, right? So I can
50%.
I can sell 2 of them, get back my entire investment, and maintain 1 on profit. Can't do that. I can't offer to sell somebody unless I am the collectible app, which I'm not. I'm Cage. I can't offer to sell somebody 2/3 of the chrome and keep 1/3 myself. That's not the way. That's not the way it works. So I'm able to kind of fractionally share that. The downside is if you believe in the chrome and you think the chrome is going to go up, at a better clip than the paper one is, then you're missing out on that. But that is, like I say, personal preference. If you have that money to spend, go for it. This guy, man, talk about underappreciated. Look at the list, the names of the legends that I just threw out there, and the 98 stuff. There's just not a lot of PSA 10s. I mean, 145 and 119, right? The guy's got it. He's got a championship. He won a ring. He's the top 10 all-time scorer, number 6 all-time scorer, which a lot of people don't realize. He's just one of those guys that, for whatever reason, is continuing to fly under the radar. And it's going to happen again because Kobe and Dunk going to be what people talk about now with the Hall of Fame stuff, not Dirk. It's just it's fun.
Dirk has he has less accomplishments than Tim Duncan, but he's definitely has more personality and more marketability than Duncan. Dirk is kind of a funny dude. He's pretty well liked. And I think when you see his documentary, like they like play tennis with each other. Like I think he plays tennis with Luka in Dallas, and like they're all boys. Like Mark Cuban does a kind of a cool job of making those Dallas Mavs teams kind of like a big professional fraternity.
Yeah, I just look at it and I say, you know what? I go through my stuff and I'm like, all right, I'm going to reposition some stuff. Cruise ships reposition. They come across the Atlantic Ocean and there's discounted cruises on them. You get to eat a lot. That's why I like cruises. But beyond that, it's okay to reposition yourself, reposition your stuff, right? Like, I have a bunch of Tatis and Gavin Lux and Yordan Alvarez, and it's baseball season, and I can move some of those right now and buy a Dirk Nowitzki rookie, for the same. I mean, it's just, to me, that's where I'm thinking, right? You want your value. That's where this guy's brain is. I want to move a little bit more of the percentage that to portfolio diversification, as we call it, a little more away from the speculative young guys in multiple sports and more towards what I think are blue chip assets that don't have as much potential downside. And this just, it just falls in there. $850 for Dirk, rookie cards.
I love it. I'm a big Dirk fan. I really am. Clippers blew out the Lakers yesterday. Lakers look like they're in disarray. The Clippers team looks good, especially with I think they needed someone like Rondo running that second unit. But I want to have a fun question. I want to ask Luca Nation what they think. And the content team, if you hear this and you want to make a graphic, do it. You're a GM. You're starting a team from scratch.
Do it.
You get to pick between Tim Duncan and LeBron James. Who do you pick?
A GM from scratch. Tim Duncan, LeBron James. Why do you always set me up with LeBron James questions? This way the audience is going to kill me. Can you give me somebody else? So it's as of today. Like, am I getting an injured LeBron James? Am I getting, Coach Tim
You're
Duncan?
Drafting
them like out of college? Like I'm getting them in their prime?
Well,
LeBron.
Yeah, prime. LeBron. You go LeBron?
LeBron. There are very few people I would take ahead of LeBron in LeBron's prime.
Okay. So you say LeBron. Okay, Luca Nation, let me know what you guys think. You're a GM. You're starting from scratch. You're building your team. Do you take Tim Duncan to build around, or are you building around LeBron?
I think I could find a big man that you could piece together with LeBron a little easier than pairing up Duncan with somebody who matches up in today's game the way LeBron does.
Don't forget, Duncan has this many championships.
Yeah, well, that's because he played with Robert Horry. When you play with Robert Horry, you get rings. That's how this works.
Does Duncan even have it? I mean, Tony Parker's going to be a Hall of Famer, probably, right?
I don't know. Yes,
Manu?
whatever her name is. Manu Ginobili. I don't
Hall
think
of Famer?
I don't think those are Hall of Famers. I mean,
I don't think so either.
I don't think
but
so.
LeBron has played with Kyrie, Kevin Love.
Yep.
He's played with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and now Anthony Davis.
Yeah. I mean,
so was Duncan's roster that much better?
No. Duncan was a very, very, very good player on teams that played very well. I think you can build a good team around him. I think Duncan was great for the situation he was in. He had the right coach. He had the right franchise. They kind of let him be him, and they played to his strengths. That was a fundamental ball player. But the big man, it's tough. We'll see, right? Because Jokic and Embiid and these big men. Let's see how far they're able to take teams in the playoffs the way the game is played today. It's a little different.
Well, I'm just so we're clear. Embiid is nowhere near Tim Duncan. Embiid really frustrates me as a Sixers player. I think Embiid is actually one of the most overrated players in the entire league. Bar none. He's very limited. He plays stupid basketball. But the reason I ask that is because I think there's this narrative that's being completely missed about LeBron. And to me, this is my biggest kind of negative.
If you want to go in on LeBron, go for it.
He doesn't make players around him better. He has not made a single player around him better. There's nobody that when they got to play with LeBron has left that situation as like, wow, I've played with LeBron. I learned so much from this guy. He made me a better player. Not one single person. And I think that's a true testament. Like we always talk about individual statistics and we talk about winning championships, but we don't talk about this criteria of do you make players around you better? And I think actually two guys that come to mind are Steph Curry and Draymond Green, who they're good individually, but they also make the team around them better. And I just don't feel that LeBron does that for anybody. And I think it's a conversation we need to have more.
Listen, I'm not going to dispute that. If you told me you were drafting a team in the 80s, to play ball in the 80s, I wouldn't take LeBron first. I probably wouldn't take Steph Curry first if he was part of the equation, just because it was a different game. I'd probably take like Hakeem. The game has sort of changed. And, the post moves that Duncan has and that kind of stuff, it's not the way the game has gone. You need somebody like LeBron who's able to drive to the rim, find that opening for the game-winning shot, and pass it to Danny Green to miss. Like, you need that if you're a GM. I mean, that is what you're. See, come on, look at that, guys. So, I mean, no, to be honest, come on. LeBron's great. He's a great player. I know you're not a fan. He's a top talent. That's a tough question because an argument can be made for both of them. It really can. But I get what you're saying, and I get where you're leading it. You're leading it to, LeBron's only done it with a supporting cast, and he's not ever made that supporting cast better.
It's been glaring. It's been glaring watching this Lakers team. It's disappointing watching this Lakers team without him because, I think they leadership, making your guys better. having belief in them. I thought that they would have a little bit more fight against the Clippers, specifically coming off that Denver win as well. They know that they're fighting for a 6 seed, so they don't have to be in the playing game, and they feel like they have no bite. Like they feel like they have nothing to them, and that starts at the top. And I think leadership is a big thing. And yeah,
it's crazy because with LeBron out, coming to the season, if you would have bought into all the card hype stuff, you would have thought that Taylor Horton Tucker would be dropping 40-point triple doubles by now. Where is that guy? Is he alive? Is he even on the roster? I don't know. Is he hanging out with Bol somewhere?
He plays. He's very weird as a player. He he only gets to the cup. He's flashy. He's quick, but he's I don't know. I've watched him. I don't understand his game very much. Like he makes some really, 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 really poor decisions. He doesn't have a great shot. He gets to the rim at will, but even at the rim, like he can't finish that well. So I thought so too. They need a score. Because they're not putting up any points, frankly. And Schroeder's out, so they got nothing. It's going to be interesting. Mavs beat the Nets, which was kind of cool. And now the Nets are on a 3-game losing streak. Granted, they played the Bucks twice. They played what's it called? The Mavs last night. Yeah, you want to talk about anything else? You want to wrap here?
How about Kyle Kuzma's hair? What's the best version of Kuzma? No, you don't. He actually had a good game. I mean. Somebody has to score, right? Somebody has to score against the Clippers.
Someone has to score.
But
no, I like development. I like improvement. Like I love to see players improve, and I think that's not talked about enough. Like Ben Simmons frustrates me so much. That's why I love Jimmy Butler. If you guys remember, Jimmy Butler came in the league. He was so raw. He had no skills. He was just tenacious, and he worked on his game. And Ben Simmons, no offensive moves. No offensive moves. Yeah, I mean,
you can hear it. You can hear the Philly fan coming out, like the upset Philly fan coming out.
It's getting interesting. It's going to be an interesting. What do we got? A week and a half till playoffs, and playoffs start. It's if nothing else, here I'll turn it to the positive. I think it's a wide open playing field. I think it's so wide open.
You know what? We'll do a playoff episode, but we're 35 minutes into this. I'll let it wrap with this, right? I want to give you 2 minutes, uninterrupted by me. I'm gonna put it on mute, right? Because I'm gonna tee you up for something. This is completely unscripted, guys, but I have a feeling he's not gonna have a hard time with it. We drop content every day, and we love the hobby. Otherwise, we wouldn't show up every day to do this, and we wouldn't be building up Luka Nation the way that we're doing this. We love everything about the hobby. And there's a lot of great content out there. There's room for a lot of different kinds of content. But I've noticed, and I don't know whether you've noticed this, but I've noticed a lot of the content slanting negative. Maybe I'm guilty of it myself. Taking shots at people, taking a little, oh, wow, this NFT is go crazy. You name the whole deal. I will work on that myself. I'm still going to give you Cage, man. I'm going to call it like it is. But, I think part of the value that we're going to try to bring to the table here is, try to also accentuate. It's not just the negative. I'm not promising no negative, man. You can do that. But try to accentuate some of the positives in the hobby, some of the good things that we have going on, and, make sure that people are aware of that. Because especially when the market starts to turn down, when the prices start to fall and not everybody's, rolling in it and we're not all geniuses, I think that's the perfect time where a little positivity will help us, get through it until the next stretch of increases. So again, I'm gonna put it on mute. I want to hear your thoughts, man. I want to hear some positivity because you're the king of that.
Well, let's think about it this way. You're having a party and you're inviting people to the party. You already have 50, 100 people at the party, but it's not at full capacity. And the people you're inviting is like, yo, this party kind of sucks. Like, what inning are we into this party? The party's almost over. There's people fighting in every corner of the house. There's only 3 people that are really having fun at the party because they're hoarding all the drinks. Who's going to want to come to that party? No one's going to want to come to the party if you're just shitting on your own party. So the point is, the only way prices go up is when you increase demand, right? To increase demand, you need more buyers. You need more money. Well, what's the selling point? Oh, HGA got hacked. 5.5 NFT didn't happen. Balloon. The PSA reslabbed the Tim Duncan card. It's just this card got stolen by USPS. Look at this horrible grading by this company. Like, it's just negative, negative, negative. Why would people want to come to this party? They're going to be like, nah, I'm going to go where people are having fun. where people were making money. That's why NFTs blew up. People were having fun and they were making money. So the card hobby is often filled with a lot of cynics, nerdy cynics, and we need more good-looking, blonde frat boys and girls coming and promoting the party. I went a different route. I'm just riffing now because I don't really believe that. But you need to promote your party. You need to speak highly of it. You need to sell the vision and the dream, right? And no one wants to buy into a vision and a dream that's negative because, like, why would I come here? I'm not going to have a good time and I'm not going to make money. And I'm probably going to be caught up in a scandal. As opposed to being like, this is fun. You could build community. You could meet a lot of friends. You can make money. You could buy really cool cards and show off your favorite players. We have to be our own biggest fans. We have to be our own biggest promoters, because if we're not, that's really where the longevity of the hobby is. When people ask the question, what inning are we in? A better question they should ask is, how can I help us extend this game?
Well, how do I say it better than that? Other than, I don't care what inning we're in. As long as somebody's bringing the Cracker Jacks to my seat, we're set. So listen, we're gonna bring the positive.
That's a great point. Don't show up to the party empty-handed. Come with something positive. Come with a cake. Come with something that you know the guests will like. Right? Don't just come to the party and take. Who likes the guy that comes to the party, takes the Cuervo, goes upstairs and drinks by himself? That's lame. Come to the party and bring the Cuervo and be like, let's share. Let's enjoy this together.
Show up with a chocolate babka, not a cinnamon one. That's what you got to make sure. Chocolate babka, not the cinnamon babka. Nobody likes the cinnamon babka. All right, guys, listen, this was a fun one. There's a lot of cool plays in here, a lot of fun stuff. And listen, we're not telling you to be positive all the time. Sometimes the sun's not out. Sometimes there's clouds. But, we're going to try to bring some positivity, myself included. Because, I don't know about you guys, but I love this hobby. I have fun with it every single day. Trying to make a move, try to sell stuff, try to buy something, try to switch my collection up. And I get to talk to each and every one of you guys. So what's there not to love?
Yeah. And guys, let's say you're running a media account. Well, if you're going to showcase all the negatives, showcase the positives. Showcase a guy paying off his credit card debt or his student loan because he got into the cards last year. Why don't we hear more stories like that? Let's talk about slab stocks. Slab stocks, I don't know if this is exactly a cage you could help me with the details. I'll even go DJ. These guys got into the hobby a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They made so much profit that they were able to buy a house. Now, do I think a house is a good investment? I got a lot of backlash because I said, is a house a good investment? They chewed me up, but that's a whole different story. But this guy was able to buy his grandparents' house, I believe. I know he bought a house. I don't know if it was his grandparents' house. All the profits he made from the hobby.
I think
that one fell through, but
look, guys. We can do smaller. Maybe we have to do a better job of ourselves. We get messages every day that are positive. Maybe we have to do a better job. Somebody messaged me about all the plays that they listen to from our show, and they're buying land and a house off the plays. Or the one message we got last night about how, hey, thanks so much. I'm gonna take my family on vacation. I bought these 2 boxes that you said to buy at $300 each, and I'm selling them now for $1,000 each. It's a vacation for my family. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of positive into this. It's not always about just I made money in it. Guys, I got a message this morning which might have made me happier than any of the other card stuff. I started a little we're gonna get healthy group. Only got a couple people in it because people are embarrassed. Somebody sent the message in there this morning. I'm not going to call him out. Somebody sent the message in there this morning and said he reached his first goal, just a 5-pound small goal weight loss. He's back to pre-holiday weight, and he was all happy. We gave him a little round of applause. We were all excited. We were all happy. I got to tell you, that made me happier than anything, right? Because this is what we're doing, right? We're building up a community. I'm getting healthier. Monday I'll tell you what I weigh again. Hopefully I don't go up and you guys don't give me a hard time. But, I'm putting it out there for you guys. But, I mean, seriously, there's a lot of positivity, and there's a lot of positivity in the community, a lot of great stuff going on. And, it's very easy to get lost in that negative stuff. It's very easy to kind of go down that rabbit hole, and that's fine too. It's entertaining. Everybody wants to know about all these attention-grabbing headlines. But come back to what makes this fun also. That's it, man. You
could promote the good or the bad. I would say it should be an 80-20. Promote the positive, shine a light on the negative when it's glaring, but there's 80% positive is a nice blend. No one wants to come to a boring-ass complainer party.
Well, maybe it gets you in the door.
Imagine you come to a party, everyone's just complaining. Everyone's just complaining. In every room you go to, they're just complaining. The music song is just a sad song.
It is every God-given person's right to complain. Let's just give them less to complain about. All right, Luca Nation, we love you. Talk to you soon.
Have a good weekend.